Hello and welcome to Stories That Work. I'm your host, Deacon Adam Roberts, and we're continuing the theme that we've been talking about. This won't entirely be about Vespers, but that's kind of how the conversation started between Father Nektarios and myself as we were talking about something they've been doing differently about Vespers. And so before we get into today's topic, if the two of you could introduce yourself, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. Go ahead. Christ is risen.
Indeed, he is risen.
My name is Father Nektarios Najjar, and I'm the assistant pastor at St. Elias Cathedral in Ottawa, in Canada. And we can say that the winter is almost over in Canada with the Paschal season.
Almost, huh?
Almost. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Selena Sakely. I'm the president of the St. Elias Young Adult Ministry for the past 3 years now. This is my third year as president.
Okay, wonderful. And so you could probably guess by that title that we are going to be talking about young adult ministry. And the reason that Father Nektarios and I connected is for those of you on our email list, we started a Vespers research project about a year ago. We were trying to gather a lot of information about who's doing what with Vespers and what's working, what's helping to get attendance up. For a lot of people, they agree that those who attend Vespers are the spiritual core of your church because they understand how important this service is in preparing for the Eucharist. And so, Father Nektarios, you responded that you guys had been doing some young adult events, I don't know how many, and that it really seemed to be a blessing for the young adults to somehow be doing some activity with Great Vespers. And so that's kind of where our conversation started. I'm glad you've got Selena on today, and I appreciate that. So I guess I'll let you guys get started. I've introduced the general concept, but we can just talk, but it's not just about Vespers, so we can go into what you guys are doing for young adults.
All right, so I'll start with Vespers, actually. So when we started in 2016, this is around the time when our archdiocese moved towards a more structured young adult ministry. And if you remember, we moved on from what was called the Fellowship of St. John, the theologian, towards the young adult ministry. And this is when when I, as a young adult priest, right? So this is where I find really, I really find myself with a young adult, and I see the importance of young adult ministry. As a young adult myself, actually, and we thought we wanted to start a young adult ministry at St. Elias, and the first thing we thought about is when to do these events or meetings, and in which setting. And most of our weekdays were very busy with OCF, campus ministry in the city. We have a weekly Bible study in the parish, etc. So I don't really remember who, but maybe it was Selena or one of the people that were launching the ministry with us said, you know what, let's do Saturday. Saturday seems like a good day, and this way we can couple it with Vespers. And actually, Deacon, it worked like both ways. So I would say that having young adult ministry events and meetings right after Vespers has encouraged more young adults to attend Vespers. And eventually, it really helped us encourage young adults that already come to Vespers but were not involved in any sort of ministry in the church to become part of this new ministry. So it worked both ways.
That's a great point. I had never thought about that. I'm glad you shared that.
Yes, so it worked both ways. So when you look at our young adult ministry core right now, which I would say is maybe 20 people, and then you have nights that are slower, nights that are better. Some of them are young adults that were part of some kind of ministry at St. Elias, and then this helped them come to Vespers more. But there are people that were young adults but were never part of Teen Soyo or other ministries, but coupling Vespers with young adult ministry had a few people interested in structured ministry in church.
Yeah, I like that. I really hadn't thought about that. Selena, where did you fit on that? I guess you were involved at a leadership level early on?
Yeah, so as Father Nektarios mentioned, when we were trying to find a date, it just seemed with people's schedule that Saturday really was the best time. And then when it came to like what time on Saturday, I think it was almost a unanimous decision that the best time would be after Vespers. Like some people were concerned that, oh, what if people have plans on Saturday night and things like that. But we found that that never really became an issue. And, it was early enough on a Saturday night that people could still hang out with friends afterwards if they wanted to, or even mostly like sometimes after our meetings, we would hang out with each other, either just staying at the meeting late or going and grabbing dinner together. And another thing that I've noticed, as Father Nektarios mentioned, um, in terms of the people that were attending Vespers and didn't really know about the young adult ministry or had never been a part of the ministry, when I would come to Vespers and kind of at the end of the service, I would see some young adults either kind of standing on their own or, weren't really part of the group. And I would go and approach them. And I know other members of the executive committee would go and approach people and ask them, do you have any plans? If not, why don't you come check out our meeting, see if you like the young adult group. And I found that that really helped encourage those who are a bit more shy in the church to get more involved.
Yeah, I want to share a little bit of clarifying information for those who are not familiar with young adult ministries. For the Antiochian Archdiocese, we're talking at the archdiocese level, roughly 20 to 35. That gets a little bit looser at the diocesan and at the parish level. But even outside of the Antiochian Church and the other jurisdictions, there is, over the last several years, been a lot more interest in young adult ministry. And so this is not something, if you're watching, that you think is only happening within the Antiochian Archdiocese. It's happening in lots of other places. Just to give you an example, I know that the B teams, Steve Cristoforo and Christian Gonzalez, they've been doing have a lot more interest in young adult ministry. And there's a natural blurring of lines with youth ministry, obviously, with, young adults weren't teens not so long ago, right? I still felt like I wasn't a teen like not that long ago. But so I just wanted to kind of offer that clarification that this is something that's growing as important. It's something that fortunately I think is a good thing that our American Orthodox churches are responding to, our hierarchs responding to. And so I'm glad you guys are doing this. And I'm glad you're doing it with Vespers, because I can't think of a better night of the week to be having a young adult ministry than Saturday night, after Vespers. I think that's such a great idea. We do have a handful of churches that do a Wednesday night Vespers, and that might make more sense for them. But connecting it with the service, whatever that service is, I think is what's beautiful about it. For the next, do you mind sharing what you guys have been doing? What are the events?
So it's been a learning curve for us. So when we started Deacon, we thought that young adults would be attracted to more social or event-related activities or events where they would come and we would attract them with things that we thought they would like. And funny enough, they were not attracted to what we thought they would be attracted to. So the nights we decided to do social events, people weren't very enthusiastic. And eventually we knew that this is exactly because this is what they see everywhere. And this is what they're doing in their daily lives. They're not coming to church and telling the church, entertain me and I'll come, right? It was actually the opposite. The young adults want a relationship with the church that offers them something different. So then we started moving more and more towards something different. We thought more rigid Bible studies would work. This worked for a while, but not 100%. What really worked for us is the following. And I would say that this year was really, glory be to God, our really best year since we started, is to release a program at the beginning of every semester in a nice poster form, in which we advertise all our young adult ministry Saturday nights or eves. And we try to have a variety of activities, mostly based, we try to incorporate lay people from the church. So it's not the priest speaking, it's not even the young adults. We try to bring in people with different fields of expertise. For example, a doctor from the parish to speak about bioethics, a businessman to speak about time management, a layperson with a theology degree to speak about, for example, the importance of scriptures in our lives. So we try to highlight create a bouquet, a variety, and then what happened is actually from these more serious, structured but also flexible nights, the social life was created from these things. So we eventually had if we have a Facebook group, but we also have a chat group where people are making friends because of this. They share quotes from the fathers. They share sometimes light jokes. They share funny stories, and this has created friendships and relationships. So it worked also here reversely. So instead of telling them, "Oh, we're making stuff that are fun for you. You're young adults. You don't want serious stuff. You want fun stuff. We're going to do fun stuff for you. Come to church." No, they were attracted to the more serious teaching and discussions. And they really appreciated the fact that there's a young adult board trying to bring to life what they're interested in, various areas of expertise. And then what we really also a part of what we cared about is creating a relationship, which is for me important because I really think that the young adults are the core of each parish. I really think that this age group and what they represent with their knowledge in technology, with their knowledge in the world, with their age, because their young adults are usually independent, but at the same time, so they're not teens anymore, but at the same time, more likely they don't have the responsibility of families and kids. So they really can be the engine of the parish life. So they could connect to the older and to the younger generations and be this bridge, this connection, and creating strong friendships and relationships within the young adults of the parish, I think really helped us create an identity of a certain ministry. So this is, I think, what's been a blessing for us.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great example of you basically have tried to have a blend of spiritual plus fun. And if you go too far to one or the other, just like when we're too extreme in our own lives, things don't make sense. And so you have to have a balance. I'm curious for you, Selena. Selena, can you give an example of what we've been talking? What has been one of your favorite activities that you guys have done over the past year or two?
I mean, I definitely think that all the different talks that we've had by different experts have been the most useful because, like, for example, with the time management one, it's not just about time management, and it's not something that, anyone would maybe get at like a regular school, for example, like either in university or in high school. It's not a typical time management discussion. It's bringing the teachings of our faith within it. And it's, putting a spiritual aspect on those types of discussions. Same with bioethics. It's not just bioethics in general. It's the orthodox thinking on bioethics. So it's really nice to kind of see the mix of our everyday life and things that we're experiencing every day. And then also the connection to our spirituality and our faith and, what the church thinks on that. So I think those were two of my favorite discussions because, again, not only are we getting a mix of everyday life and spirituality, but it's a great discussion. It's not just being lectured, but everyone's inputting their opinions, and we're kind of getting an idea of what everyone is going through in the church and understanding each other's perspectives differently. And I get to connect with people that I don't think I would have connected with in the church if it weren't for the young adult ministry. And it's a great opportunity to kind of meet everyone in your age group at the church and kind of hear their perspectives on different topics and even sometimes controversial topics that, come up in discussion. And it's nice to do it in the church setting because, at the end of the day, we still have the same faith. And even if we have different views and different respect in different topics, perhaps, getting that orthodox perspective and kind of balancing it all out is so nice. And I think young adults in the church are able to connect on a much greater level than other young adults in our life and other aspects of our life. So I found those discussions have really been really eye-opening for a lot of us and very, I'm learning every meeting and I try and take what I've learned and apply it in my everyday life and keep learning. It's I don't think any of us will fully ever know everything we need to know about our faith, but we're hoping that this continuing education kind of keeps people within the church and keeps the connection within the young adults alive.
Reminds me, and I'm going to post a link to this in the comments when the show is over. In the past year, I don't know if you know this, Father Nektarios or Selena, but the Assembly of Bishops for North America released some research on young adult ministries. And they said that the most successful ones were not those who focused on social activities only, but the ones who focused on something called edifying. And so that's what you guys have been talking about. And they didn't say no social activities, just where's the focus or the emphasis or, the main interest. And so I think if you put the focus there, it allows room to have fun as well. We all like to have fun together. I love having fun with my friends. But I also like to have some meaningful conversations with my friends. That's part of what makes them my friends, is that we do both together. And so I'm going to share a link to that research because I think that would be interesting for any of our viewers watching to see that there's research to back this up. It's not just a random experiment. My next question is, I'm curious on attendance. Everybody's always wondering, like, well, my group's small or my group's large, but they don't come. Or I'm curious kind of, what does this look like? Did it start off really big immediately? Has it slowly grown? What has the group look like in terms of attendance?
So it's been like you can get anything really. We've had nights where we've had 30, 35 young adults. And then we get a night where we get 7, 8 young adults. And then we figure out, there's lots of exams going on. Maybe some people are away. But we learned that we're going to go forward with whoever shows up because there's respect to the people that showed up and committed to this night. And we've kind of tried to convey the message to the young adults that we want you to commit, but we don't want this to be a burden on you. Because one of the things is that young adults feel that there's enough burdens in life. So we didn't want commitment to be a barrier for someone to say, you know what, I cannot make it every week or almost every week. I'm just going to disappear. So we've had a mixture. And what really worked is when we announce the schedule for a few months, as I said, like once per semester, what we call the semester. So once a season, let's say spring, fall, winter, and summer. This wasn't giving a very far dates, but at the same time, it wasn't week by week or every other week. It gave people time to plan. So this is stabilized our numbers. Yeah, we get 15, 20 people every week. And then also we try to do every week, and then the first year, and then the next year we said, or vice versa. Maybe.
Yeah, so I think we did bi-weekly the first year and then weekly the year after.
Yes. And then this year we moved to a third option, which is we're going to look at the calendar and fill up the weeks that we find more feasible. So we end up maybe with 3 times a month, I think, on average.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much for my questions. I'm wondering if you have anything else that you think you need to share or anything that we've missed. Go ahead and share what you have.
I would like to share something, Father Deacon, which is from a pastoral perspective, that I've noticed that as the young adult ministry progresses in the parish, the commitment to the sacrament amongst young adults has improved in the parish. So I wanted to highlight this. I don't know if these are connected or linked. I think they are. How I'm not sure, but I just wanted to mention that giving young adults an important role in the parish and the body of Christ really helped them. Really helped more young adults immerse themselves in the mysteries of the church and the life of the church, and especially I would like to highlight the mystery of confession.
I'm glad you shared that. I'll comment. I was 18 when I realized how important confession is, and it changed my life. And ever since then, it's a vital role. And to live without confession, I can't imagine what that's like. So that's a great observation to share. You said you have something else?
Yes, something else. I have two more things actually I wanted to share. Is that one of the more beautiful activities or habits that our young adult ministry has acquired is that we have an old age home next door to the church, and our young adults have decided to periodically go there and hours communicating and trying to bring some joy and light to the life of people that might be lonely. And I think the experiences, the human personal experiences that emerged from these visits were really important and transforming. And another thing I wanted to share, maybe you want to speak about this experience more, is we also try to do mutual events between the Teen Soyo and the young adult ministries, and we try to do some kind of it's really an amateur mentorship program where we had young adults and teens fill out some forms where they express their interest, their plans for school, and then we try to couple or match a teen with a young adult and give them we met together, had some icebreakers a few times, something to eat maybe, and then a group time and one-on-one time with someone that might represent an image of how your life will expand as a teen in a few years. To see someone that is where you're going to be in 3-4 years, that shares the faith, that has the conviction of the faith, that is comfortable living in the world, on a campus where maybe 99.9% of the people are not comfortable with you and feel that the faith that you stand for is not okay, maybe at some times, was really, I think, also helpful to the teens mostly in this experience.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I think in Teen Soil, there's a lot of discussions kind of on the different pressures that teens have while they're in high school, and a lot of things that might drive them away from the church. But I think those pressures actually become even harder once they move on to university, because there's a chance that they have less parental guidance, and they might not be living in the same city as their home parish anymore. Here for young adults and teens to maybe lose their faith or not be as dedicated to the church while they're in university. So I think the main reason we thought about the mentorship program and trying to bridge that gap between Teen Soyo and the young adults is so that a lot of these teens, especially if they're the oldest of their families, kind of have an older a mentor or someone else to kind of guide them through all these different pressures and all these different distractions that they'll receive in university and beyond, and so that they have someone that they can see went through all these different things, and look, they're still there. They're still going to church or liturgy every Sunday. They're still attending young adult meetings. And I think, before we did this mentorship program, I didn't really know many of the teens in our church. And after kind of going through this process, I realized that I share a lot of the same interests as some of the teens, and a lot of them will be studying the same program that I studied in university. So it's nice for them to be able to use us as a resource, and then also for us to kind of be there and guide them through so many different things that they're going to be challenged with in the next few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then last thing we wanted to mention is, so although we have these Facebook and WhatsApp groups to send out, notices about our meetings and everything, there's still a lot of people that aren't in those groups to begin with. So one thing that we introduced last year was a wine and cheese, where everyone who was already coming to young adult meetings would try and bring at least one friend that wasn't maybe even involved in the church, or maybe goes to liturgy every Sunday but doesn't know about the young adult group. So,
or even not Orthodox.
Yeah, or maybe not even Orthodox, exactly. So we just brought this actually idea came from another parishioner, and she wanted to introduce her friends to the group and to the church. So we created this event to kind of try and get the word out to more people, and beyond those that are already involved or already in the groups and seeing the messages every day. And we found that actually a few people did end up staying. Of course, not everyone was gonna get attached to the young adult group from that one event, but we found that just by getting the word out, a lot more people found out about our ministry and were interested in it and started becoming more involved.
I'm ready to sign up for your next wine and cheese night.
I'll send you the invite.
Yeah, I want to go. I think that's a great idea. I think that it's a little classy, but it's gonna have some nice time for dialogue, and I think that's really clever. I like that a lot. And what an easy way to invite non-Orthodox friends that you want to share with your Orthodox friends. So I really appreciate you guys coming on, sharing some concrete ideas as a lot of churches are trying to figure out how to move forward. You guys seem like God has really blessed your parish with a group, and I think it's good to share also that even if you have a large group, you might only have 5 to 10 one night, and don't despair. That's okay. But we have to be creative, I think, in meeting people where they are. And so something like a wine and cheese night, having the talks that you talk about on bioethics or time management, these are critical things for all of us. I could use a time management talk probably. So I think this is really good stuff. I'm really glad you came on. I don't see any questions from our viewers, so we'll probably go ahead and sign off. And like I said earlier, I'm going to put in the comments here later today a link to that research that the Assembly of Bishops did on what the most vibrant and young adult ministries look like in parishes. And to summarize, it basically talked about when they're something around edifying groups. They really seem, when that is the focus, not the only thing, but the focus really seems to make a difference. So Father Nektarios, thank you so much. Selena, thank you so much.
Thank you, Father Deacon.
I want to point out though,
with one thing, if you don't mind, Father.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I don't think there's a formula that works, that we can go and implement the formula. But if we really make an effort, listen to the young adults, have a dynamic conversation with people, and let them express, and at the same time baptize their expression, right? Bring it into the bosom of the church and her tradition, and put a minute. We can all hope in having vibrant and active young adult ministries, which I think really can be course for parishes and outreach and evangelism.
I think that's a good point, because if you look at a teen group from one church to the next, they may not be doing the same activities, but could have lots of interest. And so the same is going to be true for a young adult ministry.
Yes.
That's a really good point. Well, thank you so much. As we close out, and we'll say Christ is risen.
Indeed, he is risen.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.